Good morning. Welcome to So.Dade Shoutout. My name is Richard Candia. I'm a realtor with Avanti Way Realty, but I'm also a member of the board of the So.Dade Chamber of Commerce. Every week, we introduce you to a member of our So.Dade Chamber of Commerce family. And today, uh, we're joined by Dr. Rina Santiago-Guia. Our goal here with the Shoutout is to talk to you about their business, what makes them special, and why they've chosen So.Dade as a place to do their business. Um, Dr. Rina Santiago-Guia is the principal of Monarch All Health. It's a center providing multi-specialty mental and health services. They're unique because they provide various platforms on which to receive these services, as well as community service that we're going to touch on later. So, welcome, Dr. Santiago-Guia.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Who are we joined with today?
We are joined today by my daughter, Shaily Sophia Gia.
Okay, I
Good
know she's got a
morning.
role here. Um, you and I had an opportunity to meet and talk a little bit before, and you gave me a rundown of how this business and the practice started. Why don't you hit me the high points, please?
Basically, I was working in the field for over 10 years
Hmm.
and I got pregnant. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to give my career a break so that I can be a full time mom. And then I was presented with the opportunity to actually start my own practice with her father.
Did you start off being a practitioner, or did you start off being a business owner?
It started as a business owner. I
Interesting.
literally had just had Shaily,
Mhm.
so she was a baby, and I was very clear. I said, "We can do this, but I need to be able to have Shaily with me." So the practice actually started with one of the offices was her room, and I would take her there and I would feed her, I would nurse her, she would take her naps. I had my little walkie-talkie.
Ah, you're blessed. That's
Oh
great.
yes. Oh yes. And we would come in. I would greet the patients. I was the one answering the phones, making the calls. I was the one dealing with the insurances, the faxes, basically everything to start a business. But I was not yet actually seeing patients because I also had another primary role of raising my daughter.
Interesting. So this family business. What's Mr. Gia's role here, Mr. Yadel?
So Yadel, his role is essentially the entire business piece. It's actually a very good marriage when it comes to the business because I do the clinical part and he is a genius when it comes to the business part. He
Gotcha.
has his MBA. He has been is an entrepreneur. His specialties in marketing and leadership are a great addition to make basically making this work. It's hard. At least I know for myself, and I know a lot of other psychologists to how do you do the business part, and I think you mentioned other professions as well. You go to school, you get your doctorate, you learn all of the medical and mental health and clinical part, but how do you actually start a business with that?
Exactly.
For me, the business part is always a little hard. So being able to have someone to collaborate with where that's his focus and we work together where we can grow the business but without sacrificing patient care or overworking our providers.
Interesting. Um, Everything happened at the same time.
Yes.
Your timing was horrible about trying to do those things, but it's worked, and it sounds like it also gave it your practice a flavor. It's
I think the
very
timing was actually quite perfect.
okay.
Nothing that I would have, thought of in the future to plan out this way, but I think it actually ended up working out it very well. The way we were able to grow it slowly, it really had started flourishing after she went to school because I had her with me the whole time. She didn't go to daycare or anything. She was always with me, and Shaili played a very big role. Helping run the practice.
So it gave it a cult. Your culture is being very accessible and understanding and flexible.
Yes.
How important is that in talking now? Let's touch a little bit on the heavy things. How
Mhm.
important is that when somebody is trying to find a mental health provider? Um, you are. It seems like you're very understanding. You're very flexible. How does that translate into the way you give service to your patients?
Well, at Monarch, we have we have different ways for patients to reach out to us. Obviously, insurance companies. You can find us on Google. But a lot of times when someone's looking for mental health services, sometimes they're very hesitant to obtain these services, and maybe that first phone call where you actually have to talk to someone else is hard for them.
Hmm.
So our website has been highly developed so that you can just go to our website, you can look for providers, see which one fits with you, which one you feel comfortable with. We have all of the pictures of our providers, a bio, and most of them even actually have a video. So you find who you feel most comfortable with, and you can even book online. Now, our office will give you a call so that we can follow up with the paperwork and everything else as far as the policies for scheduling an appointment. But that first step can be made a lot easier for you by just going on the website and getting a feel for everything that we do at
Hmm.
Monarch. And the fact that we're so family oriented, I think I have even heard from patients, they're like, wow, I really feel comfortable here, which is what I want. I mean, our business is growing, but I never want it to get to the point where anyone feels like a number. I want every patient to feel like they're the only patient that we have.
Congratulations. It helps for somebody that's trying to receive assistance to jump over that little stigma that might be attached to, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
need mental health. I need mental health
Mm-hmm.
assistance.
Absolutely.
What makes you
Absolutely.
unique then? You mentioned something earlier to me about testing. You do some.
Yes. So right now, my primary role, other in addition to running the business, growing the business, and supervising a lot of the cases that are happening at Monarch, I'm the one who provides the psychological evaluations. So what does that mean? Essentially, let's say you come in and you're really not sure what's going on. You're not sure what you want or what direction to go in. Well, personality testing can certainly help guide the therapist.
Mhm.
You know, I always find that testing can kind of almost launch you forward sometimes, like 10 sessions,
Right.
you know, a Rorschach and MMPI, and we get a lot of information that can then be helpful in therapy. We also do screeners along the way. We work with another company and we do screeners to find out, well, how is your brain functioning? You know, how's your attention? How is your sleep? And we can kind of screen along the way to see areas that you're improving on or areas that you are still need improvement. And this is information that's highly useful for both the therapist and for the patient.
Sure. Markers. And
Yes,
now everything, if you want to get better in anything, you have to measure. And so now you're able to show somebody, hey, you were here, and now you're here. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um. So I've got an assistant of yours here next to you. What's Shaily's role? She's a secret weapon, I understand. What's her role? How has that grown?
So Shaily, again, by the time we hired our first provider, Shaily was 10 months old. So as patients initially came in, she was definitely the smile on that would put a smile on everyone's face. Just her laughing and her giggling and playing with the playing with the kids. As she grew older, she definitely started helping a lot more. She would ask patients to come to the office, tell them, okay, here's your room, because we had different rooms. She would let the provider know, okay, so this is the room that you're going to. Before COVID, everything was done just with paperwork, so physical paperwork. So she would give this paperwork to the patients and say,
Mhm.
okay, well, here's the paperwork you have to fill out. Oh, and making copies. She would make copies of the ID cards, make copies of the insurance, and she knew how to work the printer, sending out faxes. Yeah,
Jesus.
oh yes, sending out faxes.
Mhm.
She would even help me with testing in the sense that if I had like maybe two or three going at the same time, I would say, okay, tell them to fill this out, and if they have any questions, to circle the number, and then to just come on outside when they're done, and I can help them. And she would walk the child to the room and say, okay, you're just going to fill this out. If you have any questions, circle. She would do all of that.
What's your
Um,
favorite part of the everyday work, Shaily? What do you like doing most?
Sending faxes and guiding the patients where to go.
I can only imagine that in a few years she's going to have this decision to make to either be a business person or a clinician. She's
or
gonna
both.
she's gonna have a or both because you're doing that.
Why not
Why
both?
not both? Because it's hard.
That's okay.
It's
Nothing
hard.
wrong with a
It
challenge.
is hard.
Challenges help us grow.
You we talked about Monarch being a true family business,
Yes, they
and
are.
you your providers are your part of your family, your patients are part of your family. What other family type touches do you do in your or do you have in the practice in the day to day?
Well, every week we will randomly pick a day of the week where it's popcorn day. And I don't mean microwave
Today? No?
popcorn. Is it popcorn
Is it
day? I would
today?
have to. Yadel's the one who picks that day. We actually have an old school popcorn machine in the waiting room.
Well, that's no
And
good.
once it smell, you can
That's
smell it. It
no
smells like a movie
good.
theater
It's
down
not
the
fair.
hall.
Okay. Yeah.
So the providers enjoy the popcorn, the patients enjoy the popcorn. We also have balloon day, where everybody gets a balloon on the way out. We also have what's called the wheeled prizes. And children, as well as adolescents and adults, if they so choose, are spin the wheel when they finish therapy, and they on the wheel it'll tell you which prize you get. And these prizes, the themes are kind of linked with the theme of the month. Every month we have a different theme, whether it's a major holiday, or for example, in June we had the art month, where patients and providers would basically create works of art, and we're talking painting with pastels, making jewelry. All of this is available inside the therapy room. There's like a little art section.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually part of the therapeutic process.
And I guess it would make things a little more calmer for somebody that's a little tense or like I'm going to go tell somebody my whatever.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes, directly speaking to someone is challenging.
Mhm.
So that eye contact can be intimidating. So if somebody's able to just kind of like work with a bracelet while speaking, that's a great way to build rapport.
That's right.
And it's comfortable, and you take some with you from the therapy session home, so you have that tangible connection of learning something, feeling a certain way in therapy, and taking that home with you.
You mentioned something to me earlier on how working with a larger practice, you were frustrated at having to refer patients to other departments, and you envisioned a place, a practice where you could actually just take them by hand to wherever they needed to go.
Absolutely.
How did you incorporate that vision into Monarch?
Well, that was definitely one of the major goals that I wanted at Monarch. I wanted to be able to have a place where families can receive as many services as possible in one spot. So I used to work, focusing on children 0 to 5. I worked with a lot of families, and I would have my job was evaluation. So I would evaluate a family, and I'm like, I'm gonna tell you everything that I feel you would benefit from. The children need individual therapy. You need family therapy. You need speech therapy. Mom, you need medication management. You need individual therapy, marriage therapy. I mean, all of these different types. One provider to do all of that would not be ethical. So you need different providers to provide all these services. So I'm going online, I'm finding different places.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm sending them here to different departments. Well, here you call this number and you can get that. You get and they came to me in a bus.
Wow.
So it's like I'm like, ugh, I feel so. I my heart breaks. I'm like, but my role was very limited. Not anymore.
Okay, so how did you change that?
So now at Monarch, we were able to grow the business to where now we have medication management, both in office and telemedicine. We have ABA services, we have speech therapy services for children, for adults. And even within the therapy that we provide, we have specializations. Like all of our providers specialize in different areas. We have trauma focused therapy, such as EMDR. We have cognitive behavioral therapists that specialize in that. So if let's say we have a family, or you have a child, and a therapist is working with the child, they're doing individual therapy, which includes working with the parents. And the parents say, listen, I'm actually going through a really rough time. I'd like an evaluation for medication management. Not a problem. We let the front office know. We give them a call. We schedule them with their medication management provider. Done.
And you just went through a list of the different types of services you offer. The first thing that I thought of was like, how do I know what I need? Well, because you do the testing, you can tell me, hey.
Absolutely.
And can somebody
Absolutely.
transition through the different services then?
Absolutely.
It's one of those things. Physical health, you work out every day, you watch your diet. Mental health should be treated the same way.
Absolutely. And the thing is
Most work out sometimes.
Well, it's important to health is not just physical health. Health is also mental health. It's all connected.
Right.
So separating services across different companies, program. I mean, I think it's just it makes more sense to have it all together because we are one whole unit,
Yeah.
you know. So and another thing is mental health services is not only for those who you're having trouble sleeping, you're having trouble eating, significant depressive or anxiety symptoms, but it's also for someone who's just like, I don't know what to do with my life. I mean, society has significantly changed in the last 2 to 3 years, and a lot of people just kind of feel lost. Adolescents, just like adults, families, this shift that's happened, it's almost like I'm not sure where to go with this. You can get therapy for that, just to kind of help you to process where are you right now, what do you want to do, what do you want to do with your future. Therapy can help with that as well.
And how did you? Wow. How is does Monarch do it better than other places? Better than a single practitioner? Better than the bigger?
Well, I definitely think what sets us apart is the personalization of the services that you
Okay, I
get
can
from
feel that.
us. Definitely the personalization. Like I said, I am the owner and clinical director, but I will step in and I will answer calls and I will speak with anybody who needs to be spoken to, who has concerns, questions, constantly growing and evolving, changing the policies based on feedback that I receive both from the patients as well as from the providers. I'm are keeping my providers happy is another part of Monarch that I think definitely sets us aside from other companies. Providers come here. I'm not telling them here's what you have to do. Here's how many patients you have to see. You tell me. You tell me, what do you feel comfortable with for your mental health? Because let me tell you, as a provider, as a psychologist, I have to take care of my mental health as well. You know, that's something that needs to be taken
Sure.
into consideration. So seeing 30, 40 patients a week is not going to help me maintain a decent mental health, especially when I'm a mom.
So I'm a is a patient. I'm a patient of yours, and I I have my therapist that I'm very attached to, but I'm traveling and I'm
Mm-hmm.
due for my weekly or my monthly
Mm-hmm.
call. How do I get a hold of her or him?
How do you have an
How many?
appointment? How do you have a session?
Yes.
We can absolutely do it telehealth as long as your primary residence remains in Florida. Insurances do allow us to continue seeing you for therapy regardless of where you go. Now, it does need we do have specific guidelines for telehealth. In other words, we do require to be able to see you.
Okay.
You know, it's not just a phone call. You know, it's actually physically see you, whether it's through Zoom or any other platform. And you can't be driving. You know, that's not
Oh,
safe.
interesting.
Oh,
Okay. Oh
yes.
my gosh. Then
Oh,
then
yes.
half of my Zoom calls would be
No, 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 no.
okay.
You need to be in a confidential, safe environment. My love, please wait, baby girl.
I
Thank
just
you
want to
Shaily.
so
say
much.
something.
Can we allow her to say one thing?
Yes,
What
please.
is it, my love?
You guys can keep talking and then I'll say something.
Okay, sounds good.
Fine with me.
So, the this we do require that we be able to see you. You're not driving. You need to be in a, you know, not sitting back in the car on the phone while, you know, on a family trip. No, 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 no. It needs to be in a therapeutic, confidential environment, both for you and for the therapist. But yes, we will go with you
I
wherever
like
you
those
need
norms.
to
So
go.
that does help, and then it you're taking it serious. You know that the therapist is taking it serious.
Yes.
And Charlie, what talk to me? What is it that you wanted to say that was so pressing?
When I go at Monarch, it's really special for me because one time there was a baby with the mom. I went in the waiting room and I played with the baby. I gave the baby milk. When the mommy went to the restroom, like right there at the door, they left their stroller. I feed I feed the baby milk.
Good. Wow. The
He
whole
Wow.
loves.
it's a whole taking care of all the angles.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would do without when Charlie starts going to high school. You're in trouble. Um, so talk to me about your community role. Why South-Dade? And you're growing in South-Dade. I was speaking with your husband, and he's like, we love living in South-Dade. We love living in Homestead. We love all the things about it. We're This is a Chamber of Commerce meeting. We're trying to attract people. Why South-Dade? Why are you doing there versus the other places?
Well, First of all, we live down here in Homestead, and raising a family here is I love it. I love it. You have the farm life. You have a lot of the what I consider, a lot of nature based activities for children to do, which I find to be so important.
Hmm.
The keys is a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yes.
And but just the environment down here, it's a lot calmer than the rest of Miami. And Miami's beautiful. I absolutely love it. But when it comes to raising a family, I'm kind of settling down. Homestead, I find to be in a beautiful place to do that. But I noticed that the mental health service availability in Homestead was quite limited.
Hmm.
So being able to start a business down here, accepting insurances, including Medicaid, meaning it's not just, cash based. We accept insurances. So there's a large community down here that needs these services, but it's hard to find them.
Um, the folks that need the services, and it's across the board. It's young, it's old, it's.
Yes, we work with all age groups.
Mhm.
All age groups. Is under the age of 5, that's a biggie. You know, a lot of times you'll go somewhere and say, "Nope, you got to wait until your child's 5 years old."
Oh, interesting.
No,
Interesting.
no, you do not. Early prevention, research shows early prevention is the key. So I don't care if your child's 1 or 2, I can evaluate them. I can evaluate them. I can evaluate the family system, and we can assess to see if there's just little tweaks. Sometimes it's just tiny little tweaks that you need.
Back on the technical question, then you just made me think of something, and it's going to sound dumb, but is it ever too late to? Because not everybody has the wherewithal, the awareness to, hey, let's start having talk these things out. Is it ever too late to
I
go
would
to
never
Monarch
say.
and say, hey, I need help?
No, absolutely not. I would
Okay.
never say that it's ever too
Sure.
late. Obviously, early intervention is best, but that's not to say as, oh, I'm going to throw, forget it now. No, 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 no.
Did
There's
you
always time.
did you see a lot of activity after, well, during the COVID period when people were uh, insecure? We didn't know we were going. We didn't know what was going to happen. We couldn't go out. How did that affect your
Well, I have to
patients?
tell you, it was very scary at
Hmm.
first. There was a bit of a decline. People were obviously afraid, nobody was leaving their homes. And we had to kind of jumble and figure out with the insurance companies, well, how does this work telehealth wise? And
Everybody had to.
add everything to the contracts. And it was like lots of shifts that were happening. But since definitely the floodgates have most certainly opened ever since during this pandemic.
Sure.
People staying indoors, children, children that in this crucial stages of social development, not being able to socialize, the symptoms of that are showing up now that they're going to school. It's like, okay, well, my child's not socializing. Is it because they're autistic? Is it because they weren't properly socialized? Is this a neurological or is this behavioral? Well, that's where I come in. That's where I do the testing. I was like, okay, clinical opinion is our clinical observation is crucial. However, raw data is also crucial.
Right.
And when you combine the two, that's where you get the best idea of exactly what it is that we're looking at, or at the very least, a baseline. What are we looking at? Where do we go from here? How do we move forward? And then assess along the way.
I really don't know who the pandemic affected more. Was it the young folks because there was a whole part of their life that just wasn't normal,
Mhm.
or is it the older folks that are afraid and they start playing with their minds?
You know what?
And I have both in
I gotta tell you,
the
I
circle.
think it's equal. I don't see that it's more one than the other because, for example, even with adults, something that was initially small. I used to have a little bit of trouble sleeping. Yeah, it used to bother me a little bit to do this. All of a sudden, it has been it's exponential.
Right.
Now I can't go to the store. I can't go to the corner. I start hyperventilating. I'm having
Yeah.
panic attacks,
Mm.
as well as children, adolescents. I mean, there's so many important developmental stages in everyone's life, in every stage, from infant to adult, that if that happened at the middle of the pandemic, that just became it threw you off balance.
Sure.
So I've actually seen a little bit of both.
When?
I love you.
When?
I love you.
When?
Please wait.
When
We
are
have
we
just
gonna
got a
talk?
few more questions.
Mm-hmm.
The uh, uh, talking about those challenges. I'm guessing this has been industry wide. All you guys are speaking about that. Um, In Monarch's case, working in South Dade, is there anything specific or particular about South Dade, or is it pretty much across the board? Everybody's affected kind of the same way.
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to answer that because I don't like to speculate, and I don't exactly know what research is out there that would adequately give me the
Interesting.
proper statistics to answer.
Mhm.
I can only tell you based on the experience that I've had at Monarch, and I mean, it definitely has. I feel affected across the board. Like I said, different ages, different age groups.
Tell me about your providers, the folks that work with you, the therapists, their backgrounds. What do you require as far as
Hmm.
training or?
Well, I definitely all different backgrounds, all different areas of specialty. We have doctorates as well as master's level, licensed as well as those working on their licenses for the one, and I supervise those cases, the ones that were working on on getting their licenses. As far as requirements, we do background checks. We do make sure I do anyone who is basically applying for a job, and we are actively hiring, they go through an extensive process. We have like an entire hiring committee practically,
Mhm.
where we start with an interview, then we go through an entire vetting process with references. We call the references, but one of the things that's most important to me is that they fit with the the Monarch family.
Your culture, your
Yes,
culture.
that
Sh-
is crucial to me.
Shaily, give me 2 seconds. Talk to me about what do you like about living in Homestead.
I love when I get to spend time with my mom and dad and with my baby Softy. Softy, say something.
Okay, we're almost wrapping up here. Thank you, Shaily.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. I dude, I told you I had a surprise question
You
for you.
did.
Why Monarch? Is it why the name? Is it?
That's a good question.
Thank you. I worked all day
That's a
on that.
great question. So we actually in our backyard have a sanctuary, where we have our butterflies back there. And when we were actually thinking of a name for a business, we thought, you know what? Therapy and obtaining these types of services, it's all about growth and evolution. Very similar to a
Gotcha.
butterfly.
Okay.
A butterfly goes through a lot. Have you ever seen it?
No, there's.
I mean, they're this tiny little egg. And then from there, they become this caterpillar. And the caterpillar has to eat and eat and eat and eat and eat to then turn into this chrysalis. Now, not every chrysalis survives, not every chrysalis makes it. And then from there, they emerge into this beautiful butterfly. And to me, to us, that is very similar to what happens in mental health. You come in, you're working, you're evolving, you're working on yourself, or you're working on your family, you're figuring things out, and then when you're done, it's like you're ready. You're out there, you're like a butterfly out there in the world. You see things from a different view. A butterfly sees things from the sky view versus from as a caterpillar. So when you finish therapy, the I would hope everyone's goal is to be able to come out and just see the world differently, just the way that a butterfly sees the world differently.
That wasn't much of a surprise question. You're right. So,
We have carefully thought that through.
Shaily, tell me what is the address of Monarch?
29.
That's the house.
Mom.
That's the house. The office.
The office. Where do they find you?
They find me with my mom.
Okay, and then your mom will be at,
Monarch.
and the address is.
I forgot.
Oh boy,
She was going to give you the house address.
what's the address?
It's 151 Northwest 11th Street.
Mommy.
11th Street,
Sweet.
Homestead.
I
Yeah,
remember.
suite. Do you remember the suite? W201, Homestead, Florida 33030.
And if somebody needs to reach a Monarch, what's the phone number?
I know what it is. 786
Slowly.
521 5925.
786-521-5925.
Yes.
We this has been a blessing for me for many reasons, but it's always interesting to meet and talk to our South Dade Chamber family. It's one of the reasons why it's such a great place to come live, work, play, and flourish.
Yes.
We're very, very grateful for the time that you came to spend with us today, but also thank you for the service you're doing. It's marvelous, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again and to see how we can help you educate folks on the importance of mental health and the way Monarch specifically, uniquely attacks that issue.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here and to spread the word and to let the community know of the amazing and unique services and the way in which we provide them are. And again, also our website gives a very big view of everything that we have.
What's that
And
website again?
it's www.monarchallhealth.com.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. We hope to see you next week. And if you have any questions about live, work, play in South-Dade, please reach out to the South-Dade Chamber of Commerce. We'll be very, very happy to help you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're
Thanks, Shaily.
welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.